Episode number 221.
Hello, you're listening to the Career Changemaker podcast. Having the courage to leave a career that you have worked hard to build and try something else can be tough. So in each episode, we dive into key career change strategies so that you have a clear understanding of what is required to transition into a new role or a new industry without feeling like you have to start at the bottom or have to take a massive pay cut, because #ain't nobody got time for that. If you are ready for frank and honest discussions about how to become a career change maker, keep listening. I'm your host, lawyer turned career strategist and executive coach, Janine Esbrand.
We are back with another installment of the visibility series that I have been running. So if you have been following along over the course of this month, I have been talking all things visibility for female professionals. And the reason why I've been talking about that is we don't want you to be the best kept secret. Like, we don't want you to just be in your office doing great work, but people not really knowing about the work that you're doing and you not getting the recognition or the advancement opportunities that you desire and that you deserve because you are not being visible and your expertise is not being visible. Visibility is a big part of that. And so that's why I've been talking about it over the last few weeks. So today I want to talk about how you can land interviews or opportunities without making any applications. So I'm going to share with you a bit about one of my clients' experiences where they were able to attract 3 interviews in 1 week and not actually make any applications. So I want to talk about how you go about doing that. But before I do that, I want to dive into a few other things that I think are important to be thinking about when it comes to positioning yourself for opportunities. So when I'm saying opportunities, I'm thinking internal opportunities or external opportunities. If you are someone who's thinking about a career move right now, you may be saying, okay, I want to make a move internally upwards, or you may be saying, I want to make a move out to another organization, but ultimately I'm looking at elevating my career. I'm looking at advancing in my career. And so you're looking for opportunities. And oftentimes when you are looking for opportunities, when you're in the space where it's like, okay, now I'm seeking an opportunity, now I want to move, you can be thinking that you need to be able to share how you are a good fit for that opportunity once you're in the meeting room. So once you get in the meeting room, whether that be with your present employer or once you get into that meeting room with an interviewer, that is when you need to shine. That is when you need to be able to demonstrate your value. That's when you need to be able to talk about what you can bring to the table and convince them that you are the ideal candidate for the role. That is the way that most people approach it. And they will be thinking, okay, like, I've done my CV, I've done my cover letter, or I've had that conversation. And off the back of that, I've now been invited to this meeting and now I need to shine and be preparing for that, be thinking about what you can be saying, what they want to hear, and all of that jazz. Now, there is time and space for that. But when you think about how humans operate, when you think about the landscape that we're living in right now, what I want you to recognize is you being assessed for this opportunity happened way before the time that you're sitting in that meeting room. It started happening way before. And a lot of us are missing opportunities to shape how people view you because you're waiting till too late in the process. So let me explain. If you are looking for an opportunity, right? And say, I'm going to talk internal and then I'm going to talk external separately. So if you're looking for an opportunity internally and you're looking to be promoted, you having a conversation with your line manager, expressing your desire to be promoted is not going to be the only reference point for them when they consider whether or not they should say yes to that request. It's not going to be the only reference point. What's going to happen? They're going to start thinking about, okay, well, what projects have they worked on? What have I seen them do in the past? Where have I seen them show up? Where have I seen them add value? Do I think that they are capable to be operating at that higher level? They're going to be using different data points to assess whether or not you are a good fit for the role, not just the conversation that you have there and then, not just you being able to say to them, well, I think I'm a good fit for the opportunity and here is why. That's part of it, but that isn't all of it. So if they are looking at different data sets, if they are considering past encounters with you and past experiences of your work that they are aware of, do they have everything that they need to make that assessment? Because they can only go on what they've actually been exposed to. So if you haven't been being visible, if you haven't been talking about the work that you're doing, if you haven't been strategically building relationships within your organization so that people can be talking about you, then the data sets that they are referring to when they're considering, like, is this person going to be a good fit and is this person capable, it's missing some bits. It's missing some bits. But it's in the moment when it's like, I'm ready for that opportunity and I'm ready to move forward, it's too late then for you to then add in like all of the extra things that you could have added in earlier. Like, you can talk about it, but is it really going to stick with them in the way that it would have if you were being strategic before? So when we talk about visibility and we talk about the importance of having a personal brand, I don't believe it's a nice to have right now. I think it's a necessity because people are looking at lots of different things when it comes to considering candidates. There's a lot going on in the marketplace. There's a lot happening. There's a lot of change. There's a lot of flux. And so you want to be the person that is a no-brainer solution. Like, you want to be the person that they say, of course, because we know that you helped us with this, this, and this, and this. We know that you've been able to add value here, 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 and here. So make sure that you're being intentional about not only adding the value, but talking about that value before you need it. Before you need it, not just waiting until the meeting for you to start talking about all the things that you've done over the past year. What were the touch points before that you could have been leading into so that they are 100% clear now that they need you and they want you? So that's internal. If you're thinking now externally, when you are considering your profile and you're considering the fact that most people will Google you, when it comes to interviews, when it comes to even networking, if you meet someone new, oftentimes you'll Google them. If you're being considered as a candidate for an opportunity, they're going to Google you. When they Google you, unless you have an online presence like a website and other things going on, the first thing that's going to come up is your LinkedIn profile. And so when they go on the LinkedIn profile, what do they see? If there's nothing there, then you've missed an opportunity to inform an impression upon them before you actually get in the room. Because if you haven't got anything out there, then all they have to go on is what you're saying in that interview. But if you have got a body of work, or if you have got your perspective being shared, or if you have got your accolades, or you have got your experience that you're showing and you're sharing in relation to what it is that you're applying for, that all backs up what they're seeing in front of them. When you go in the interview and you start giving examples of things that you've done and things that you've achieved and places that you've been in your career, and then they're able to go online and they can see that there's some congruency there, that I see this person online, I see this person through their LinkedIn profile has been showing up and doing this great work. I see them at events. I see them sharing their perspective. I see them sharing their insights. I see them talking about recent developments. And then now this person is in front of me and what they're sharing correlates with what I have seen. On a subconscious level, that's going to make the interviewer really believe that you are the person that you're saying you are in front of them and that you can do the thing that you are applying for. So you're able to use a personal brand, you're able to use your intentional messaging to support what it is you're trying to achieve right now. And that's why it isn't a nice to have, it's this is something that I need to prioritize and this is something that I need to be working on so that when those amazing opportunities come, I've already been doing the work that's going to help me to get to where I want to go. Like, I know for me, like when you think about a business owner, if you think about marketing, like the reason why companies pay money, like money for branding is that they want people to have an experience of the brand. They want people to have an experience of the product before they even go into the shop. So that when you get to the shop, like say you're like, I want to get a new iPhone. When you get there, you know what to expect. Why do you know what to expect? Because there is a very established brand around the iPhone. And so the expectation when you get in the shop is, hey, I just want to have a conversation. Which model do I want to get? I'm going to go get it because I know what I'm getting, right? And I know like that's an extreme example because we are not going to be Apple as individual brands. But what is important is that you can take the decision-making process and you can shorten it because you've given the person exposure to you ahead of time. You've given them an opportunity to contemplate whether or not you're a good fit before you're just standing in front of them. And most people wait until that meeting to impress. They wait until that interview to impress, and then everything is riding on that interview. And so if you have a bad day or you forget something or you don't fully like articulate everything on the day, it's like blown it. Like I know that I was a good fit for this. I know that I can do the job, but like in that one moment in time, I wasn't able to properly sell myself. And so now I've lost the opportunity. Whereas if you have other things, if you have your assets built out in terms of a profile that really speaks to your expertise and what you can do and clear experience that you are sharing, that supports, right? It's like, okay, they didn't like do all the things in the interview right now, but I can see from their profile, I can see from what they're sharing that they have what it takes, or that their values or what they stand for is aligned to where we're going. And so let's give them a shot. So the first thing to be thinking about is, how much am I doing ahead of time? And how intentional am I being about my profile and how I want to be showing up and how I want to be seen, so that I don't have to do all the heavy lifting in the meeting, or don't have to do all the heavy lifting in the interview. So that's the first thing that you want to think about. And then the next thing is, what is your story? Like, what is your career story? What are you saying? What are you saying about where you've been and how what you've been and what you've done is now equipping you for where it is that you want to go? The reason that my client was able to land 3 interviews in 1 week is that she spent the time to really dig into her career history and create a coherent story around her journey. So rather than trying to wait until the interview and grapple and be like, they asked you, give me an example of when you've done this. And then you're like, okay, let me think of an example. Like, really pay attention to what it is you've done in the past and take the time to pull out the key things and identify the threads of your experience so that you can tell a coherent story about where you've been and then where you're going. Because when you do that and that story aligns with the type of organization that you want to be working for and the type of industry that you want to be in, it's so much easier for a recruiter to say, oh yes, that we found our person, this is the perfect person for what it is that we want. And so for my client, when she was able to spend the time to really dig in and say, okay, what have I done in the past? How is it relevant for where I'm trying to go? And then how do I craft a profile that speaks to that? The floodgates opened. She legit just updated her LinkedIn profile, but it's not just update your LinkedIn profile, because anyone can update their LinkedIn profile, but it's like updating your profile with the right things though, with the right things. So it's the messaging that you're using around your career experience and your expertise that is going to move a potential employer to action. And so because she did that work, then she started getting inbound inquiries coming from recruiters from different companies for similar roles. Why? Because she had tailored her profile for that type of role. She had highlighted the experience that was most relevant for that type of role. So then when they're looking at it, it's like, yeah, no brainer, we need to get on the phone. So she had so many people reaching out to her that at one point she had to stop responding because she was already in the pipeline with speaking to different companies. She was already interviewing. And so as more people were messaging her, she's like, okay, I can just focus on this batch and then maybe I'll go back to the drawing board if none of these work out. But the fact of the matter is she was not actively applying. She wasn't submitting online applications into the black hole. She wasn't trying to reach out to recruiters every week and check in to see what's going on. She had done the work up front and articulated the value that she could bring. And then she was able to carry on with her job and do what it was that she was doing right now. And opportunities came her way. And that was one of the things that she said that was so great about the whole process, is her being able to attract an opportunity and do it in a way that didn't require lots and lots of work for her, but articulated the value that she could bring in a way that she could command a higher salary and get a promotion. And so when it comes to landing the interviews, I'm not going to go into like tactics of like, you need to do this and like write this here, write that there. What you do need to be thinking about is how am I presenting myself in a way that is aligned with what I'm trying to attract? Because when you nail that, when you crack that, when you can see what your career has been able to achieve, or like what your roles have done for your past organizations, or like the contribution that you've made, and you're able to talk about your experience with the lens of the value that you've been bringing, that is when it makes it so much easier for a potential hiring manager to see the value that you're going to bring for them. And that's the piece that lots of people overlook. They focus more on the practical, like, okay, I was managing a team, or I worked on this strategy, or I advised this client, and then they stop too soon. They just talk about that, like what they did, but they miss the piece where you're talking about like, okay, and like you did that, what does that mean? What did that mean for your team, for your organization? And that's where the value lies. So that is really what you need to be focused on. If you're actively seeking a new opportunity, whether that is internally or externally, that you want to be making sure that you are utilizing what's available for you in terms of being intentional about how you're building out your personal brand, so that that can support you as you go for the actual opportunities and have the actual conversations in relation to specific roles that are coming up, or specific opportunities, right? So we want to be thinking about the personal brand, be building that on a consistent basis. And then when it comes to you, like actually attracting those opportunities, position yourself and your profile in a way that is aligned to what it is that you're looking for, so that potential hiring managers or people within your organization can really see clearly how you're going to be a solution to a problem that they're facing, and how you're going to be the best candidate for the job. So that is what I wanted to share with you today. Thank you for joining. I will speak to you very, very soon.
If you are looking to make your next best career move sooner rather than later, and you'd like some specific, personalized, tailored support as you make your transition, I invite you to book a fitting call with us. We'll discuss which of our programs or services could be the best fit for you as you move forward. Head over to www.careerchangemakers.com and book your call today.